Okay, now I've started recording. We're back. There's going to be a free music production webinar, and the way that we are going to go about it is very, very simple. I'm gonna admit them all. Yeah, more people are coming. All right, more people have joined in on Gmeet. Wonderful, guys. Hello, hello, hello. So there is something that I would like to show you while we are going to talk and do all of these things. Is Okay, more people are coming now. They're coming in, which is okay, still fine. uh, I'm just gonna admit everyone in. All right, now we have decent amount of people. Not bad, not bad, not bad. All right, all right. There is a group gigs on Discord as well. Wonderful. Okay, so guys, what you're about to see, what my currently Reaper is doing, is opening up a project, and this project is going to just give you a glimpse of what we have done in music production classes. And not only these things, but let's just wait for it to open and see what we have created with along with my students in the last month. So for those of you who don't know, I was admitted recently, and because of that, this is my first class. Actually, I got discharged around in the afternoon around 3 p.m. and now I'm here, which is, well, I'm fine, nothing as such, but really excited to show with you and with everyone else how and what we have done in the past, the whole, from actually February 19th, yeah, till February 19th till 1st of March, yeah. And then we had a class on 4th, and then now I took 4 days of leave because of my medical thing, and now we are back on track to our free webinar. Right. So before, while this is loading, can anyone in the Discord server or the Gmeet chat can tell me what does a DAW do? Right. We are looking at a DAW. It's a digital audio workstation. But what does it do? Can anyone like just quickly summarize that up for me? Okay. Groove Gives is typing on Discord. Music banta hai. Correct. 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 And how is that music made? If you could like develop on that answer. Just gonna wait for, okay, one more person. Hmm. With help music theory write sounds, correct. So that is, when you say that music theory helps us create correct sounds and harmonies and everything, that is a correct answer, but that is not the what it's meant to do, right? That's why I asked what does a DAW is meant to do. Music theory of course helps with music composition, 100%, which chords to use, which scale you're in, and all of these things. But what does a DAW do? Because we are talking about music, but what does a DAW do? The software that is currently loading in front of you. Everyone is free to answer. That's why we're just gonna let our mind be open about what is possible and what is not. So our project has loaded, right? So for those of you who are wondering, okay, Groove Gigs, are you going to answer? Should I wait for you 30 seconds or should I move on? Okay, Ajay asked which DAW is best. Okay, Ajay. So I don't know where Ajay is. Seems like, oh, Ajay is able to see me. Uh, right. So Ajay asked which DAW is best. We're gonna talk about DAWs as well, like in like as in the software. So I use Reaper. Why do I use Reaper? I'm gonna answer Ajay's question. Reaper is really light on the computer, in the sense, check this out. Alright, and go to Reaper. It's a 15 MB download. 15 MB, that's it. So it's really light on the computer. So if you really want to get started with music production and all these things, I suggest to my students to go for Reaper. Okay, so guys, DAW is supposed to do two things. Okay, I'm just gonna spoil the things for you, because DAW is supposed to do two things. Number one is to record audio, whether it is musically good or not, and the second is to manipulate audio. All right, I'm gonna pin it there. There you go, both on Discord and on Gmeet. The answer to what a DAW does is very simple. Number one is it records audio. Second, it's to manipulate audio. Now, all of these tracks that you're seeing. Okay. Ravi Joki. So Ravi Joki had the same thing. Which DAW is the best? I think Reaper is the best for me, but we'll get into, as I said, why am I going to do this. So this whole song is based on two principles of a DAW. That yeah, you can record an audio like this. All these audio tracks that you're seeing, you can record them like this, and then you have to manipulate them, by something like this. Manipulation of audio, cutting and where beginning, controlling where it begins, where it stops, and all these things, right? So how do we do that? So it's very simple. You create tracks, and on Reaper, the creating tracks is probably the easiest thing you can do. Okay. And the way that you do that is you get Reaper. All right, you will get something like started with something like this, completely blank. Double left click here. Here's your track. Simple as that. Here, double left click, guitar underscore whatever, you can go with Vox or like whatever words or something. So little by little, when you start tagging them up like this, like this, like this, like this, right? This was going to be like a surprise event, but if I don't think it will happen today, I'm just gonna do a little bit of basic music production, and then we are going to move on towards. We're probably gonna call it a day, and then we are going to look at something else, and probably the surprise event will happen tomorrow because I didn't get any time to sit down and do this by myself. And don't worry guys if you are coming in halfway through, because this is getting recorded and this will be put on YouTube for every one of you to watch. So this isn't going to be something that is going to like hinder you, or if you don't like see this halfway through, that's completely fine, right? So when you have a DAW which own function is first of all to record audio, here you go, like this, and then to manipulate audio by putting on effects and trimming it and making sure where it begins and where it ends. Like for example, here you go, I'm going to click here, and this is going to be the effects tab, and you must have heard effects, equalizer, compressor, and all these kind of things, right? Here you go. So this is the EQ for it. Okay, and that's that. Okay, I'm gonna admit people in. They're still coming in, right? Again guys, if you're joining midway through, that's completely fine. I'm recording this, I will be uploading on YouTube, and you can watch it later. So when you do something like this, right, you to get tracks, you record audio, and then you manipulate them by putting effects and trimming them and making sure all of these things are completely fine. Essentially on these two principles, a whole song can be recorded and done. Right, listen to this. I'll answer that. How somebody asked, Bara asked, FL Studio kaisa hai? I'll just answer that. Right, now let's listen to it. Oh, I'm just gonna make sure that it is on ASIO. It is going to be 1 second, guys. Audible on both on Gmeet and Discord. Am I audible, guys? Okay, wonderful. On Discord, am I audible, Phoenix? Okay. Okay, wonderful. Now let's listen to this. And for some reason, again, so that is what me and my students worked on in the previous month. And my ears are finding it a bit weird listening to it after almost 4 days. But essentially, what we have done is based on these two principles, that we record audio and then we manipulate audio so that we're able to make something like this. Obviously, this is a mixing, we took it to the process of mixing, and that is how we are able to come up with this. But now, let's go back a little bit, right? This is going to be very basics about music production, very basic. So, how do we get started with music production? What is music production? So this is essentially the idea of making music, producing it so that we are able to control it and manipulate it to our own liking, is what music production is, right? So this can happen at the stage of composition also, where you are composing things. Whereas, as Groove Gig said, with the help of music theory, you're making the correct harmonies, correct choices about instrumentation and how they're supposed to sound. That can also happen, or you're doing something like a background score for something like a movie or a 3D animation stuff. By the way, which is what we are kind of working through another company called 3D QuickBooks. You can find them on Instagram. Uh, we are conducting a special kind of a thing where they will be giving us their 3D animations, and we will be putting it together. And I will be putting the background music into it, and then you guys can kind of like come along with the journey and see like how it is produced and done. So all the music production side of it, that will be coming on there as well. So we're not just limited to music, right? But let's see how we get there. We build it by little, right? All of these things, all of this is a full-fledged track, are based on like full-fledged project. So these are all tracks on our left side. So how do we get here? First of all, as I said, in the blank space, you double click, and it will keep on making these tracks for you, right? And then according to what they do or what you want to record or where they are in the thing, all you have to do is click here and name them. Why is naming important? Well, naming is important because imagine if I have to be like, oh, where is my reverb? So reverb, small, medium, large, piano, right? All of this: guitar acoustic verse, guitar electric pre-chorus, guitar acoustic pre-chorus, guitar chorus, electric, and then something chords. Like this is just electric guitar with chords in the chorus, and guitar chorus. So here you go. This is my chorus part here, and these things. So that it comes into project management, which is 99 percent of this thing. So Yash asked, which DAW is this? This DAW is Reaper. It is free to use, so don't. So in the beginning, it will say ki the Reaper is not free. You have to give it time. Give it 5 seconds in the main video, and then allow it to just let the 5 seconds go by, and then you click on still evaluating, and then you jump into the Reaper, right? So now when you're able to create tracks like this, right? So then you can double click here and then go into guitar underscore verse, for example, right? And then here, when you have to do something, you have to record it because the DAW's main function is to record audio, right? And then to manipulate it. So we're just going to look quickly into how we can record audio, right? You click here, it has to be armed, and now you're seeing the moment it is armed, it is now beginning to track my vocal, right? And now here is going to be, from where is it going to track, on put number 1 or 2. So the depends on your audio interface. Now let's talk a little bit about audio interface. What is audio interface? Audio interface. So these are audio interfaces, right? This is audio interface, this is audio interface, and like all of these are audio interfaces. What are audio interfaces doing? They're taking a real life signal that you have, like something like that I'm speaking into thin air. I'm not speaking into anything, right? I'm not, as a human, I'm not connected to anything. They take what is in real life, the vibrations, the frequencies. Just gonna let them in. They take the real life vibration. Jayesh, don't worry about arriving late. This is being recorded. This will be put on YouTube for you to see. And audio interface take these real life signals and turn them into digital data so that our computer is able to understand and then recreate those data. So if I go here, and by the way, this is the record button, right? This is an arm button. Do not confuse this one with this one. Arm is like, this is the one place that I would like to record. Like, this is the track that is going to get recorded, and this is overall recording. So your audio interface has inputs and outputs like anything. So the more number of inputs you have, the more options you will see here automatically. So mine only has two, so it will only show one and two. And obviously for the second one, I keep for the guitar, right? Guitar cable. And obviously the first one is going into the mic. Great. So we now established that audio interfaces are required for between computer and you, for you to like kind of record things, right? This is for physical recording. I'll show you what do I mean by that. And as I said, audio interfaces, your audio interface, the actual hardware determines how many inputs you have. Now let's listen to something like this. Now let's go here, let's solo this, right? So this is not something that I have technically recorded, but this is something that is exists on the track through MIDI, right? This is something known as, you guys might have heard, oh, MIDI. So this is a MIDI track. So how do we create a MIDI track in Reaper? Very simple. Unlike in Logic or FL Studio or some other software or DAW, where you have to predetermine, this track has to be MIDI or instrument track, Reaper does not make the distinction. Here you go. Double click this. Now you have the MIDI file for it, even though it is being recorded right now here, right here. And I can do this hello, 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 and it is now can do this hello, 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 and recorded, right? So when you get to this level where you're able to record and everything, one thing that you need to do is color code everything. Why? Because if you look something like this, why is color coded? Well, it's color coded because you know where to find things. And recently we just started a song with my music production students, and basically we're getting to that exactly from this place, because I take every project from the beginning till the end, and the first part of the project is project management, right? Where it is saved is also another thing. Like if I go here and I just like some random things, then I won't be able to find it. So if I go in the project, like that's where I usually put my all of my songs and everything. So now here are songs, here are all my songs that I'm worked on, right? And there you go. All these Reaper files are found there. And we'll soon be talking about other DAWs as well, and why DAW doesn't actually matter. What matters is your ability to work on this thing. So if you're new, just joined in, this is Reaper, and it's very light. That's why I use it, and it's very customizable, and that is why I'm working with it. All right. So once you get to the point where you're recording everything, and of course done your bass guitar and all these words and everything, we get into color coding, right? The right click, track color, set custom color, make it red. And very very basic thing in Reaper, but it can happen in other DAWs also, which you have to do is like you can make this guitar, just guitar, right? But then there will be a guitar verse, right? Then will guitar chorus, then there will be free chorus, right? Select all three. Like, okay, you can left click here, shift left click till here, it will select all these three, or you can control click, control click, control click, and now you have still selected three. What you have to do is you can drag them, left mouse button and drag, right? And so under guitar you can put them like this. You see this blue line there, push it up right there, let go, and now all of these are under guitar. Also right click, not track icon, there you go. Now wherever you are, guitar is going to be red. This is just an example. In my main thing in this project, I use red for vocals almost all the time. This is just was for an example. Now we just looked at how a track happens, and this is track management. Like here, which track is under where. You can do it like this, or you can do it something like open like this. So I don't usually do it for everything, but I do it for, like, at least I color code them so I know where they are, and they are usually color coded in the sense like they're clustered together. See, guitars are always together, right? And then reverb is always together. So was for bass, but then I only ended up using it in the chorus. Okay, that's that. Now I want to talk to you about something very basic music stuff, right? So when you're when you're listening to a song, every song has a BPM, like how fast the song is. Some songs are fast, some songs are slow. Obviously, I let me see if I am able to. Yeah, you can see that. I'm just gonna take my face. I'm gonna put it right there. Now we're gonna look at something. This tells you, this is very basic stuff. Okay, this tells you where you are, beats and measures. Okay, first bar, first beat, second bar, first bar, second beat, first bar, third beat, first bar, fourth beat. So if you don't know what this is, you can join the free music reading and writing webinar also, and that's where you will find all of this. Now we're getting into the DAW specific thing here. What does a DAW do? And some, I think Yash asked which DAW is this, and Bara also asked if it studio kaisa hai, and all these things. We're going to answer those questions very easily, right? So BPM is something that how fast or how slow the song is, right? BPM is here. Now this is telling you where you are. This red marker is where in that position you are. Okay, another thing is snapping. Just don't try to remember these things, just try to understand these things. Why am I telling you? Just trust me. All right, so this is not something known as snapping. All right, snapping is like, okay, see my cursor. Okay, between these two lines I'm going to click here, it's going to snap there, and if I'm a little bit more towards the right, it's going to snap there, right? It's not going where my mouse is actually going, it's going through the nearest point of contact. But if I take this off, if I turn snapping off, it will go exactly where my cursor is. It doesn't matter. Check this out. Okay, 4 seconds, this is time. 4 seconds, 10 milliseconds. If I take this, click it again, what happens? It comes to exactly 4 seconds. All right, so here is BPM, how fast or slow the song is. Here is arming the track. All right, this is recording the track, or you can also press Control R, and this is BPM. This is time signature. Now time signature can change, and if you know music theory, then you can manipulate that as well, right? And this is loop, like, you're supposed to repeat it. So in case you can make a selection like this, put it on loop, press play again. All right, and again I've put it essentially in a loop. Now what I'm gonna do for you is look at Fill Studio interface. Now let's look at something like this. I'll also do this Ableton Ableton interface, Logic Pro. Almost sneezed there. Logic Pro X interface. Now close this. Right, now let's look at Ableton and look at this, and let's look at this, right? And which one is really Pro Tools interface? New window. Oh, it's by this thing. That's why I was like, I've heard of that new window somewhere else. Okay, now let's look at new window. How old is new window? Because they already have Cubase. New window is. Yeah, my friend wanted to buy new window. That's where it's from. See, it was initially released. It was like 2000. They stopped updating it. Last was 2023. It was 3 months ago. No, they're still updating it. I'm gonna prove to you why DAWs don't matter. All right, this is FL Studio, I think, right there. What I really wanted to show you was, of course, like, there are sounds and channel tracks and all these kind of things. This is for a drum machine, I believe. And this is these are your tracks. See, left side is tracks. They've also color coded it. And if anyone remembers what I said, Jay asked what is time signature. Jay, time signature is a music theory concept which you need to understand as a musician. It's very important, and you need to kind of be aware of it to make better choices in music and otherwise. So this one, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't have never seen it, but if you look closely, right, here is your meter and bar. That's the thing, and that other is going to be something else as well. I'm not very familiar with this, but it's not the best place to start. But essentially, you see the similarities starting to happen here, right? This is your tracks, this is your color coded, and then there is something like this piano roll. Obviously, you can do it on Reaper as well, as I showed you. Control left mouse button, right? Now, of course, this is red, so of course it's gonna come on red. Double click. Here's your piano roll, just as it was here. Mixer, obviously, you have it in Reaper as well. Like, okay, view, my mixer is here. There you go. There you go. Right, all these tracks that I've created here are being shown in the mixer as well. And then what else? All of these things are very specific, I think, to FL Studio, but they essentially are the same. Now let's look at Ableton. 4/4 time signature, BPM, right? This play, pause, and all these things. Play, pause, stop button, repeat on, repeat. There you go. Repeat sign, right? And then this is, as I said, this is for time and where you are, beats and measures. This is again all of your mixer. The same thing, all of the same stuff. Now let's look at Logic. All right, guys, check this out. Time signature, 4/4, tempo, exactly. And then where you are in the song, loop button, right? And this is your tempo button. And there you go, play, pause, record button. Left, color coded tracks, all color coded track. Whichever track you select, then you can put in your effects as well. Master meter. All right, Pro Tools, guys, same thing. Meter, bar, everything is the same, right? Tracks, and then you put effects on them. Piano roll, again we've seen that. The whole mixer thing, seen that. Nuendo, let's look at Nuendo, right? Okay, so this is different, but essentially on the left side you see the same idea behind track management, right? As I just showed you on Reaper as well. All right, so this thing matters. Oh, there you go. In there towards the bottom, there is time and where you are going to do it. Play, pause, loop button. Right, Nuendo. I've never seen this. BPM 120 exactly, and then you put all of these things together. Right, very simple, very simple. So which DAW is better? So why do we use one DAW over the another if they are all doing the same thing, guys? They're all meant to record audio, which was number one, to record audio. DAW records audio, and second, it manipulates audio. So why do we use different softwares? Anyone? Okay, Groove Gives is typing. I'm just gonna wait for the reply of Groove Gigs. Which interface suits them, they use that. Well, technically, so I'm gonna be very honest with you. So with every other software, right, for Logic or FL Studio or something like that, they come preloaded with sounds and all of these kind of like basic stuff. And Ableton is really good for being used live, literally. And it is one of the best DAWs. और Ableton इनमें से कोई सिखाओ ना नहीं. So 12 वो that is the point that एक ही DAW को सीखने में कोई फ़ायदा नहीं है. never learn a DAW. All right, learn the principles behind it. अगर आप डॉ के पीछे दौड़ेंगे या एफ एल स्टूडियो और एबल्टन के पीछे दौड़ेंगे तो आप म्यूज़िक प्रोडक्शन नहीं सीख पाएंगे. म्यूज़िक प्रोडक्शन होता है, मैं आपको बता दूँ, इसके बाद हम बात करेंगे म्यूज़िक प्रोडक्शन का वो क्या होता है अपना स्ट्रैटेजी, कि एक के बाद एक चीज़ हम क्या करते हैं जिससे हम सीख सकें, है ना. तो all of these things are only meant for to do one good better than the other. If you look at Logic is probably the best and easiest software DAW to use because it is very visually pleasing. You're never lost and you always know where things are all the time. FL Studio is really good for beginners, right? Ableton Live is really good for artists who want to perform live. Pro Tools is for, I'm just gonna, if you've just joined, don't worry, this is being recorded and the link will be provided for you towards the end. And essentially certain DAWs are better at other things. Now in Pro Tools was an industry standard, it no longer is at that point that you have to use it. So never use something like this. All my students, all 10 of them, use different softwares. There's and we have Daniel who actually practices mixing and all these things on his phone as well. So we have people and students working with all different softwares, right? That is not what I'm trying to teach you. I don't teach you a DAW. I teach you how to do music production, not just, oh, you have to learn Logic, you have to learn FL Studio, you have to learn Reaper. No, Reaper is my preference. I told you it's very light and very customizable. And me being saying having said that, let me show my template. And voice issues, okay, is it better now, Jayesh? Bara, crack DAW is wrong, being very honest with you, because that is why I go with Reaper. Even though they say it's not free, it is still for you to use. Okay, so there is not a thing that you should be doing, because crackdoor gives you puts you in a illegal position. So if you're not earning from being a music producer or something like that, then go with Reaper. This is my template. Jayesh, is my voice still cracking or is it good? Hello. All right, I'm just gonna continue, right? And guys, this is one of those things that you kind of get into, right? So template is something that you pre-make, like, oh, these are the things that you're going to use, so that is why they're there already. So bass, vocals, guitars, reverb, understood, all done, all already set up, right? Trumpets, horns, trombones, my whole orchestra, piano, my easy keys, my drums, and all these things, right? So you make this once and then you go in the file, project, save as, and then you can start saving them as my songs. This is already done. So when I'm trying to compose, when I'm making with my first iteration, you look here, the same thing has happened. Same stuff. SD, right? Drum bass, easy keys, piano. There you go. All same stuff. Because I've already used an existing track and changed the basic settings around. As you can see, there's a 115 BPM 4x4, right? And my template starts with 100 BPM 4x4. So obviously I can just manipulate the initial thing, project, file, save as, and then make it come to that point and start composing. But now let's look at, I take this template and how do we mix and master something like that. So mixing is 5 things. Number 1 is leveling. I'll just give you, then it is applying EQ, okay? Then there is a matter of compressor, and in this particular order. Then there is a matter of reverb, and then there is a matter of saturation. There you go, right? So what is leveling? So this is a project that we've finished. Now I'm gonna take you through what leveling is. Does anyone know what leveling is? Anyone? Okay, Groove is typing. I'm just gonna let them finish typing. Oh, there is a difference between gain and level, because controlling and manipulating the volume level. So J has a better answer, and I'll tell you why, Groove Gigs. Because gain comes into play when you're initially recording the audio. Gain is how sensitive your audio signal is, right? And level is how loud your audio is. So J on Gmeet has said controlling or manipulating the volume level. That is actually the correct answer, because we're not talking about, so your gain comes into play when you're recording something. So on your audio interface, you'll see when you're like all the inputs have a gain meter. They don't have a level meter, they have a gain meter. So the higher the gain, the more sensitive the mic will become. All right, the more sensitive the signal will become. Level on the first one is controlling, manipulating the volume level. And what did I say the second use of DAW was, guys? Number one was to record, and the second one was to, I know you guys have it. Exactly, Guru got it right. Manipulating audio, and this is exactly what we're doing. We're manipulating audio by level. It might just be level, how loud something is, but it's still manipulation, right? There you go. Volume on the Reaper is very easy. Press V for volume, and it shows up. Here the audio track for this thing was going a little bit up and down. So what did I do? I automated it, the volume. Like this, here till here it was fine. I wanted a little bit less, then a little bit more, then a little bit rising, and then here, and then I wanted a dip here. And as you can see, there is a big thing here, like a spike here. So I kind of like manually brought it down because the take was fine, right? Because I had recorded it nicely. And then as you can see, it was like completely flat all the way. So it like I kept it flat here also, but then it became loud all of a sudden. So I brought it down, brought it up again, right? It's very easy in that sense, that this is manipulation of audio. Okay. And press V. So why do we do leveling? Because if you listen to professionally recorded and produced songs, they have a level in the sense the voice and everything, they are kind of flattish. There is not a lot of dynamic. There can be a lot of dynamic. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just saying that there is a very different approach between like a background singer, like or to someone who's singing harmonies, and someone who's singing the main original line of the song, right? So somebody has the melody, everyone else is trying to support it. And for that, and when we are so used to listening to such level sounds, that we need to kind of put that into our music production as well, right? Number one is through this. Okay, can somebody explain what EQ is? Second stuff. So leveling is very simple here. You leveling can happen on many levels also, by the way. Leveling happen on many levels. It can happen on this level also. Overall volume, right? Overall volume can be high or low, right? So check this out. For this guitar, the overall volume is set at negative 14 dB, right? It's set at negative 7.67 dB. Both different because they have to be done differently. As what did I say? When somebody else has the melody, some other instrument has the melody, then it's your job to make sure every other instrument is supporting that, right? Let's go. And I'll give you a very quick tip. Just do a visual inspection. If you see this waveform is bigger than this, of course, then this is going to be louder naturally, right? And since this is thinner and everything, obviously it's going to be much less louder, but you get the point. All right. Okay, Jay said playing with frequency. I'm just gonna wait for Groove Gigs answer for the second one. If you do have, otherwise I'll move on. Groove Gigs is typing something. Removing unwanted frequency. It used to filter frequency. You both are correct. Both are. Jay said playing with frequency, and then he said removing unwanted frequency. The first one is correct. The second one not so correct. Removing unwanted frequency. I'll explain that. Groove Kick said it is used to filter frequency of audio signal. Correct. So what Jay said playing with frequencies, and Groove Gigs was like filter frequency of audio signal. Both are correct. And actually it is the Groove Gigs got the better worded approach by saying that it is to filter frequencies of all audio signal. Why is it filter and not removing unwanted frequencies? So the reason for that is I want to make a very important point here. All right, I'm gonna solo this. Okay, and it is, so you, Jay would be like, yeah sir, this is, you are actually kind of removing unwanted frequency, but it's only unwanted because somebody is already occupying that space. Now remember that. Okay, every time you're applying an EQ, you're telling which instrument needs to take which space. Okay, 20 hertz to 21 kilohertz is our human hearing range. Okay, that is what we are able to hear. There is nothing outside of it. So if you hear something higher, that's for dogs, not for us to listen to. Okay, so groove gigs, were you typing something? I'm just gonna keep on explaining otherwise, right? So this is a human hearing range. So what happens when you have 17 instruments and your human hearing range is still this much, right? It's still this much. It's not going to increase. Like, it's not one day, it's not going to be like this, some days going to be like this. So our human hearing range is already decided, it's pre-decided. So what happens when you have 17 instruments is that 17 instruments need to fit in this space. Like, imagine this room. Okay, one person sitting here makes sense here. It's made for one person. Imagine if there were 10 people here, crowded. Imagine 100 people. We can't survive, right? It won't happen. Does that make sense? Right. We have our limited range, and we need to make the best of that. So if you have 5 instruments, then 5 instruments can easily fit here. If you have 17, now you have to start making decisions very, very intricately. Where does each instrument sit? First step is deciding how loud the things are. Second step is to make sure that they are sitting in the right place, right? First one is inviting everyone. This is how important you guys are. This is how loud I want you to be, right? It's like deciding who's going to be up front. The melody is always going to be up front, so always in the center, something like that. Second is deciding if this is the main part. प्यार में खुश रहना जरूरी है, अरे हाँ 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 जरूरी है तेरी जैस. This is the most important part of the song. Chorus, the voice singing the chorus. You need to give it importance. So you start carving out this space for it, right? And giving it like this. So even when it's being played, you'll see, Jay, that this is not actually completely removed from this part. Okay, so it's still there. So once this happens, once you've leveled everything and then you've applied EQ, right, that you've given it space where to sit, and the next comes compressor. Can anyone guess what a compressor does? Anyone? Is related to headroom, kind of. It is related to headroom. There's a much more easier definition to a compressor. It controls that actually is a far better answer, groove gig. So compressor, all right, it controls the dynamic. Correct. So now we have this kind of place where we have the signal coming in. प्यार में खुश रहना जरूरी है, right? And what the compressor does is, once it starts hitting the threshold above, it will make loud signals, like loud signals softer, and softer signals louder. Okay, so प्यार में खुश रहना जरूरी है. So if you have done the like the leveling quite well, the need for to do it, the compressor reduces. And plus I want to have some dynamics here. in the sense like I want the voice to have that little bit of flutter, like look, it sounds real and the most thing. But for example, if I want something on the guitar chorus, let's see. Let me look for something like this. Right, so now that's more tighter in the sense I don't want it to bounce around that much like a voice. I want it to be controlled. I want it to feel like that, this is its space in level, and like this is the it's a frequency, that thing, and in the sense, so level decides how loud or low something sounds like in terms of volume, right? Let's imagine we set it here, right? This is where we wanted how loud it to be. Then we want to set in the correct EQ space, like where is it sitting in the current our hearing range, and then compressor decides how much it is allowed to escape its original place. So you are right, it is kind of related to headroom, but it can be used, it's more of a dynamic controller, because you're making sure that beyond this range, can this signal go up, can this signal go down. Sometimes it sounds good, sometimes it doesn't sound good, sometimes you want things to be controlled, sometimes you don't want them to be controlled. Depends from song to song, from each project to each project, right? So that's that. So now we have done that. Then next comes reverb. Can somebody say, like, explain what a reverb does? Anyone? Anyone wants to take J groove gigs? You want to take a shot at reverb? Well, that's actually true. So groove gives it some sort of sound reflection. Correct. So why do we need reverb in the first place, right? Because when we are recording things, they are already coming. It is how the instrument is close off. That's what reverb gives the effect of. Correct. So Jay said it relates how the instrument is close or far. Correct. That is almost true. But the reason we need reverb, let's talk about that. And Jay has already answered. Sound reflection, correct. And sound reflection can determine whether it's close or far. And we need reverb because once you have put a level like this where you want it sound, EQ where in the frequency spectrum you want it to sit, right? Compressor, how dynamic or non-dynamic do you want it to be? Do you want to have it, let it have headroom or not have headroom? What happens to the audio at every level of leveling, EQ, compressor? You're sucking the life out of the audio, the signal, right? Whatever magic it had, it is it's like kind of left lifeless because it's gone through leveling, EQ, compressor. Do you expect it to sound very like wet in the sense, like do you expect it to sound very lively? You don't. You take the life out of it, and to put that life back into it, we use reverb. Reverb now is actually a sound reflection in the sense of certain things. Now let's see where I'm not using reverb here. See, so this guitar chorus is going to a reverb medium. So the way that reverb is set like this, because you want the dry signal. This is a dry signal. But listen to this. Right? And the way that you listen to reverb is listen to its tail, how it's ending. You hear that echoing kind of thing. So the more reverb you use, the farther you push it back, right? It gives you a sense of a 3D-ness or into a music, how close or far something is. And imagine what you can do with drums. Certain parts of the drums can be closer, certain parts of the drums can be farther away. That's the real benefit of reverb. And it is again, so I have to remember the core thing that you have to, if you really want to get good at reverb and compressor, you have to be really good at leveling. Because leveling, okay, now I'm going to tie something back to it. We'll get into saturation. But does anyone want to take a shot at saturation? I don't use it that often, but does somebody wants to take a shot at saturation? Anyone? It does. So yeah, so it can add harmonics to the audio signal, and sometimes it sounds good on certain instruments. Like if you, it sounds good on vocals when they were heavily processed and you just want them to come out of the mix a little bit, you can use saturation on that, and then you can do it. But if you use saturation on orchestral instruments like the strings, violins, cellos and all this, they don't really give you that kind of effect. So it's really, you can use it. I'm not saying there's, I've never said that there is a no answer, like, oh, never use this, never do that. But chances are that it won't sound as good on a vocal track or a guitar as it does on a violin, for example, or a cello. A distorted cello, sure man, it can work, but you get the idea. It's not something that you usually do, right? So saturation adds, after all that reverb is added and you've brought back into life, saturation adds that little bit of sizzle into your audio. How much you want to use it, that is up to you, all right? And once you start doing it for everything, you end up having a mix. Now how do we make sure that we have a good mix? So there is something known as tonal balance control. So tonal balance control, what it can do is you can go here, take a song that's already existing and put it here, and now it will give you that whole frequency range of another song. So let's try to find users. My name, I'm gonna go in music, probably iTunes, media, music. So this was based on the home team, move it or lose it. So now it's going to do the calculation. It's doing, now it has set the frequency, it went through the file and it made a copy of its range. In the sense, remember I said this is a human hearing range, 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, right? Now it has made that, but what did it tell you? Remember levels, up and down. Does anyone remember that? I said, can you see your example of saturation? Sure. I'll get to the that thing, but I don't use that much saturation. I can show you example for everything else. Saturation is one of those things that I don't feel like I can, like I've made 100% use of or at the moment, but I'll make you listen to saturation. And as you go throughout the process of mixing, from leveling to EQ to compressor to reverb and saturation, it becomes minute and minute and minute and minute and minute. Leveling, sure, you do 3 dB up and down, you can hear the difference. Same thing with EQ, you do a cut of frequency, a boost of frequency, you like hear the difference. Compressor, same thing. Reverb, yeah, same thing. But then by the time you come to saturation, it's like really minute, because you must have heard the reverb sound for the guitar was such a small thing, right? It wasn't that loud, and all that relates to this. So coming back, how do we make sure that we have a really good mix? Number one, we can make sure we have something known as tonal balance control. So which is going to show, if you take a reference track, which is always important, even in 3D, artists have to take a reference object into play. What are you making that you can sound like that? Or you can make it like in 3D, suppose you're giving shape and form. In music, we're giving shape and form to the frequencies and everything. So how important is it that is something like that? So now these bars, when this audio is being played, will show you where that stands. In the sense, like, is your bass frequencies from 40 to 200 hertz are between this? Are they this loud? Are they this loud? Is your low mid frequency, are they this loud? High mid frequency, are this loud? Gonna double click here, put on repeat. Fairly there, right? Sometimes it's bouncing up halka sa yahan pe, and sometimes it's bouncing up for here, right? So you make sure that you have something like tonal balance control to keep you in check. That is the basics of music production. You do leveling, EQ, compressor, and saturation. So Jay wanted to hear a saturation. It doesn't even have. Do you hear that, Jay? I don't know if you do. Western will be using sine wave and adding saturation. So not always true, because saturation needs to like give you that sizzle. So okay, listen to this. It is very low, so that is the whole point, because well, supposed to make that low frequency pop out a little bit, right, and to make that a little bit distorted, just that very, just that enough so that the bass can, like, cut through the mix. So groove gigs, that's not, see, the thing with the saturation is any wave kind of can work, is just how much are you using it to drive that thing, you know again, it comes down to gain as well. Gain is, as I told you, gain, see, all the way up high, that's why it's doing that. So that kind of, when you keep on doing it, guys, over and over and over again, that is when we start having this amazing effect of keeping ourselves on track by using tonal balance control, using leveling, EQ, compressor, reverb, saturation. And if I go in the compressor also, see, at the different level of compression are used, so that it sounds nice and tidy and tight, right? And that's what you keep on getting better at. So these are the 5 things you need to tune your ear to, regardless of which DAW you may use. You can use Ableton, you can use Pro Tools, you can use Reaper, you can use FL Studio, you can use your phone also. But the thing is, if you're not listening to leveling, EQ, compressor, reverb, and saturation, it's not going to work out very well. Okay, I hope that made sense. So that was I was going to do a surprise event for this, but as I told you, I just got discharged today from the hospital, and I couldn't really do much. So guys, if you are interested, you be tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow come back, this time same 6 p.m., and we will be doing a surprise event where we will be, doing something that I think you guys will really like. So if anyone is here, please send me a message, and I will be doing the surprise event tomorrow 6 p.m. again. Okay, it's gonna be a good day. It will be very exciting. I think you guys will enjoy it a lot. But do come back tomorrow. I wanted to do it today, but I'm not. I think I need rest now, right? And guys, if you are interested in taking your music production to the next level, a few of my students are already here, but I do a paid service where I take 500 rupees a month, and we are 10 students strong right now in the Discord community. Is for music production batch, and we take song at least once a month. We take one project from nothing till the very end and finish it as you are seeing this one, right? Make sure the tonal balance control is there, and then we have these like funny moments where is that this thing where Daniel will remember we had to automate this, and we had, every time I opened this thing, I had to decide how much of that fall off I wanted and where I wanted it, and that was like really fun. So if you would like to join the class and become good, and there will be a lot of stuff coming, in the sense, like, I'm going to do like make it so that everyone is able to practice music production. I was supposed to do it on Tuesday, but I got hospitalized then, and I will be still be doing it. And then these files are provided to my students, like, in the sense, like, I'll be making these homework files, and I will be given to my students to start practicing mixing, not only with just color coding and project management and all these things, but what to exactly listen for. If you change the level like this, pay attention to this part of that song, right? It's one thing for me to tell you in 1 hour, oh, you have to do leveling, EQ, compressor, reverb, saturation, but music isn't like that. You have to practice every day, and we practice music production from 6 p.m. till 7. And if my students have any question, we sit down and we do it on that basis. So if you guys are interested in joining in the recorded class, sure, I will be sending you that link, don't worry. And so that's what we do. We sit here into actual music production. I'm not just going to be like, oh, learn this DAW, click here, do that, it's done. You'll be given homework files, so you can go and start practicing. So if you are interested in learning how to become a good music producer and how to do proper mixing and mastering, we haven't even talked about mastering, but yes, do please come to the class. I charge 500 rupees a month, and I initially missed this 5 to 8th, but I'll be making them up by taking classes on Saturday and Sundays. So the next 2 weeks, it's gonna be Monday to Sunday. So, and you guys haven't missed at all. If you go to Monday to Sunday, those are 14 days, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So you have 19 classes left if you join right now. And in 19 classes for 500 rupees, I'm pretty sure you won't be able to find anyone else giving you like proper in-depth stuff with actual practice material to get started in music production regardless of any DAW. All right, so if you are interested, send me a message on WhatsApp, or we can start talking. Okay guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the surprise event at 6 p.m. All right, take care guys. So that was it. It was fun, I liked it. All right guys, you guys can leave. I'm gonna close Gmeet. All right, Jay. uh yes, take care, bye bye. I'm just gonna close the Gmeet. There it is. Any questions on the Discord side? Otherwise, I'll stop recording as well. All right.